Hello, everyone. Welcome to my podcast, Keep It Together by Aarti Bajaj. I'm a life and a yoga coach, and today I'll be addressing real time questions and issues from you all. If you have any dilemmas you'd like me to guide you through, please DM your questions on our Insta account, keepittogether.kits. I am super grateful for the wonderful response I received on my previous podcast, and I promise to continue my journey in helping you guys keep it together. Our first question for today is from Shabir, based in Abu Dhabi. So his question is: time management is a major issue for me. What can I do about it? How do I manage this? Well, Shabir, there are various techniques to manage your time more efficiently. Let's begin by creating a checklist for tomorrow. That's right, I want you to create a checklist for tomorrow, as that is a sure shot way to have everything in place, like a summarized plan of action, and highlight the ones that are a priority and ensure you get those tasks done first when you begin your day. Make sense? Another suggestion I always tend to give is declutter, declutter, declutter. Yes, that's right, declutter your space, be it your desk, your phone, computer. Decluttering gives us a sense of clarity and ease to carry out our plan of action. Fairly simple, right? Yet we all are guilty, of not doing this. Another very important practice is staying focused on the task at hand. Rather than hopping from one task to another without completing the first one, we've all been guilty of this, haven't we? Also, not getting distracted is another challenge you've got to combat. I bet that you find yourself receiving calls or checking your Instagram, your Facebook, while you're trying to get something done at the same time. So please eliminate and discourage any interruptions or any phone calls when focusing on completing your to-do list. These simple techniques are some of the sure-shot ways to manage and prioritize your time more efficiently. Our next question comes from Manish, based in Bangalore. He says, living with my parents, there is always a difference of opinion, and it leads to major arguments at times. How should I deal with it? Well, I love this question, as I'm sure it's very relatable to a lot of our listeners. Many of us struggle to find a common ground with our parents, regardless of the fact that we love them to bits, right? But then there is always a generation gap, which is constantly at play. We need to sometimes agree to disagree, and that's the key, right? So try to choose your battles and not get offended by every disagreement. Rather, try and accept their perception and ask them to be respectful of yours. Make sense? So, constant bickering is not going to make you win an argument. So, please refrain from that. Also, practice acceptance and call a truce. Ultimately, we can learn the best out of such situations by understanding what not to do when we step into the parenting shoes, correct? So, we always need to remind ourselves that we might not always resonate with the next generation, but we can always give them a safe space to stumble, learn, and grow. And with that, I feel that we would be able to handle these situations with our parents in a much better manner, rather than getting into an argument every now and then. Hope that answered your question. So our third question comes from Alia. She's a banker based in Dubai. So her question is, I am really indecisive and find it difficult to make the right choices. Anything that can be done to streamline my decisions? Thank you for this question, Alia. So, I just need you to know that we all go through phases where we struggle with a wavering mind. And when I find myself at a roadblock in life, I reach out to two tools: meditation and journaling. Let me elaborate. Sometimes, a bit of mindful stillness is all we need to visualize things with a clear mindset, without any chaos disrupting our decision making power. And meditation is an extremely powerful tool which helps us seek answers from literally our subconscious realm. Hope that makes sense. Journaling, on the other hand, is more of a check in with ourselves, and it helps us reflect on our current mindset, as in, what are we thinking now? What do you want to achieve right now? How are we going to approach a certain situation? So when we write this all down, we kind of become our own therapist, as we can now read and analyze and ask ourselves the right question from a third person's perspective, which in turn helps us make well thought of decisions and not hasty ones. So, Alia, my suggestion to you is to introduce these two practices of meditation and journaling in your day to day life, and do let me know how that worked out for you. So, our next question comes from Amreen Khan. She's based in Dubai, and she asks a very interesting question. It says, how to create boundaries in our personal lives and stick to them, especially when our close ones try to cross them. Thank you for your lovely question, Amreen. Now, for those who have listened to my previous podcast, I did speak about the importance of setting boundaries in our lives. Though it's much easier to initiate these boundaries at work, we all simply fail to do the same when it comes to our personal lives, as we let ourselves get trapped in a never-ending cycle of pleasing our loved ones. This act, however, can push us to our limits, and soon after, we tend to feel suffocated and controlled by our loved ones, which is an extremely pitiful situation. It's really sad. Well, we literally allow ourselves to feel this way only because we felt that setting boundaries are not applicable when it comes to your loved ones, right? So you see, it's an extremely misunderstood concept, and we just need to realize that the fact that setting healthy boundaries with our loved ones not only makes our relationship stronger, but we also learn to value ourselves way more. It's nothing but a form of self-care. So the next time a loved one tries to cross a set boundary, communicate. If you have an open communication with your loved ones, setting boundaries will no longer be stressful. Even if your loved one constantly crosses them, stay calm, but also remember that no is a complete sentence. At the same time, be willing to listen and not just react. So once you've communicated your limits, be willing to negotiate. And if the communication becomes heated, well, take a break, back off, and come to it later when you're both calm. Remember that you're setting boundaries with your friends and family because you want to make your relationship stronger and also grow closer to them while keeping your own sanity in check, right? So there is no battle involved here, right? So this is not a fight. You're only going to get better at your boundary setting abilities. Hope that makes sense. Now, our last question comes from an anonymous source. It says, I'm bullied at college by my peers. How do I deal with it? Well, being a victim of bullying is a serious matter, and even though a wrongful behavior should never be handled with aggression, you've got to raise that hand up and say stop, as an action of a perpetrator needs to be reported to the relevant authorities, especially if this occurrence is a repetitive pattern, right? So if it's repetitive in nature, you've got to put an end to it. So in the meantime, I would also suggest reach out to a trusted friend or a family member you trust and seek support. Such instances have an ability to impact one's self-esteem, but we also need to remember that no one, absolutely no one, has the right to crush our sense of self-worth. Please do not allow anyone to do so, right? All I can say is take care of yourself, and I really, really admire you for taking your first step to fight this. You reaching out is definitely a sign that you really need to end this, the need for ending this behavior and refusing to be bullied anymore. So thank you. Thank you for reaching out, and please do take care. Those were our 5 questions for today, and I would really like to thank you all for reaching out. Please keep your questions coming in, and should you be interested in a private session with me, please email us on info@kitshop.me. Until next time, don't forget to keep it together.